I would like to call the meeting of the Planning Commission to order at 6 PM. Planning Commission Secretary, may we have a roll call, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Flores,
Here.
Commissioner Cervantes,
Here.
Commissioner Ayala,
Here.
Vice Chair Jimenez,
Here.
Chair Sarna,
Here.
all present.
Sorry. I would like to call, Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to call upon Joe Flores to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please stand.
Please stand.
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. Ex parte communications. This section is intended to allow the officials the opportunity to reveal any disclosures regarding site visits or ex parte communications about public hearings. Are there any ex parte communications?
None.
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 And I have none. Next, public comments on non-agenda and non-public hearing agenda items. Chair, at this time, the general public may address the Planning Commission on both non-agenda and non-public hearing agenda items. Comments relating to the public hearing items will be heard during the public hearing. Please be aware that the maximum time allowed for members of the public to speak shall not exceed 3 minutes per speaker. State law prohibits planning commissioners from taking action and entering extended discussion on topics not listed on the agenda. Please show the courtesy to others and direct all your comments to the chairperson. Planning Commission Secretary, do we have any members of the public wishing to speak?
None.
All right. I will now close public comments and move on to the next item. Planning Commission agenda consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine. Any consent items a planning commissioner wishes to discuss should be designated at this time. All other items may be approved in a single motion. For consent items numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, is there a motion and a second for the approval of these consent items?
All motion?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Planning Commission Secretary, roll vote, please.
Commissioner Flores,
Aye.
Commissioner Cervantes,
Aye.
Commissioner Ayala,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jimenez,
Aye.
Chair Sarna,
Aye.
passes 5-0.
So ordered. There is a 14-day appeal period for anyone wishing to appeal these matters. Next, we will now begin with item number 5 on the agenda. At this time, I will open up public hearing at 6:03 PM. I now call upon Assistant Planner Cynthia Alvarez to introduce this item. She's moving up.
Good evening. I will be presenting conditional use permit 856 to establish, operate, and maintain a seafood processing facility at 12423 Florence Avenue and adopt a notice of exemption under 15301, Class 1 existing facilities. Sorry, I don't have the clicker. Oh, okay. So location, this will be at 12423 Florence, as mentioned. That's a unit part of that existing building there. It's in the M2 zone, and it's also in the industrial designation for the general plan land use. It's currently vacant. It used to be occupied by a tire shop, but they moved out around 2024. And so now applicant Sheehan Q, on behalf of Aroma International, is seeking to propose the seafood processing. So 6 years ago, Aroma International established their seafood processing facility in Chicago. With the success of their business, they're now looking forward to opening a location here at Santa Fe Springs. This will be their first location on the West Coast. So this location has a previous entitlement for DPA 109, which allowed for the construction of the 40,000 square foot building, which has now been subdivided. The proposed project does not violate or affect any of the existing approved entitlements for the site. So CUP case 856 is seeking to establish, operate, and maintain a seafood processing facility at the mentioned 12423 Florence Avenue. Fish processing will consist of filleting and freezing fish for sushi grade use. There wouldn't be any other type of processing. In accordance with 155.243 D5 of the Municipal Code, meat or fish products, packaging, canning, or processing within M2 heavy manufacturing zone shall be allowed only after a valid conditional use permit has been obtained. So this is one of the site plan images that was provided by the applicant. So the interior processing activities are expected to happen from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. As their business expands, this could go to a 24-hour facility from Monday through Friday. However, intake and delivery of fish will be restricted from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. A total of 93 parking stalls is required for the entire site. The business plans on having 4 box trucks, but only 2 of them would return on site for parking. And as you can see, there's a shared office space between 12423 and 12425. This is because Aroma International plans on operating from both units. However, fish processing will only occur in 12423. So as far as their operations go, a recently approved tenant improvement has equipped the location in order to be ready for fish processing with temperature-controlled rooms. The cooler dock will be set at 47 degrees, cooler room will be set at 34 degrees, processing room will be set at 47, and the freezer will be at 0 degrees. The building will also be equipped with air curtains installed in the entrances and exits. This serves as a seal, as seen by the image, where air is being blown to keep in any odors and keep out any pests. So it helps with eliminating odors and any cross-contamination. The box trucks will also be used for this business as mentioned, and they will be refrigerated to ensure food safety. At the largest shift, there's an expected 10 employees. Shipments will arrive and be delivered daily to ensure freshness for the restaurants or their other clients. They're expected to start out with salmon and tuna, but they expect to expand their selection as their business grows. Intake will be anywhere from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., and deliveries are expected to range from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, they are prioritizing early deliveries to ensure timeliness with restaurant operations. So, as part of some of the mitigations towards odor and waste, they are planning on disposing of their waste daily and coordinating with waste facilities to minimize any buildup. The applicant is also ensuring to avoid over-purchasing of fish, only ordering what the clients are ordering to avoid any of that buildup waste. Clientele will include some local Santa Fe Springs restaurants such as Pescado Dorado and Bay Poke. The project is exempt from CEQA under Section 15301, Class 1, existing facilities. There is no addition to the building square footage being proposed, and the use is allowed with a conditional use permit. Public hearing notices were posted to City Hall, Town Center Kiosk, the library, and mailed to all property owners within 500 feet on October 30th, and published to the Los Cerritos Community Newspaper October 31st. To date, staff has not received comments regarding the subject CUP. Some of the key considerations is that the proposed food processing facility, including the fish processing, is granted with a conditional use permit. This means that the use aligns with the current zoning and land use designation. Food safety compliance will be prioritized. The applicant is still expected to adhere with the LA County Public Health Standards and maintain a valid food facility permit. Traffic management, like I said, the intake and delivery times have been strategized to minimize traffic and ensure timely deliveries to their clients. Since it is restaurants and markets that will be dealing with them, they require earlier deliveries. And as part of the odor and waste management, with operations simply consisting of filleting and freezing fish, potentials of odors are very limited to waste control, which has been addressed by the applicant. So staff recommends to find and determine that the project is categorically exempt, Section 15301, Class 1 existing facilities of the CEQA guidelines. Approve CUP case 856, subject to the conditions as stated in the attached resolution, and recommends to adopt Resolution 304, 2025, which incorporates the Planning Commission's findings and actions regarding this matter. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. We'll now move to commissioners' questions and comments. Does any member of the commission have any questions or comments for the staff?
I have one. Just, I'm unfamiliar with this type of, like waste and odor control. Is there special containers for the waste? And is there any, or is it just dumped and picked up every day? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's no, in particular, special containers. Like I said, most of the waste will be just fresh fish. So the applicant is proposing to work with the waste facilities around the city to ensure that they're picked up daily, so that that waste won't create any odors.
And they're just dumped into a normal waste container?
I believe so. And there's also drainage that is being done to help mitigate some of that waste. Mhm.
I just had a question real quick. How many employees?
So for their largest shift, they're expected to have 10 employees. This really depends on how much the business expands, so that would be the peak.
And there's 93 stalls.
There's 93 stalls for the 4 units
So we
of the
talked
building.
about- This is what we talked about. So this is,
Extra parking.
extra parking. So, okay, thank you very much. Great job. We'll now open up public comments for this item. Planning Commission Secretary, did we receive anybody, or any speaking cards or written comments for this item?
Chair Sono, if you want to see if there's any questions for the applicant, I'm not sure if they're
Oh,
here.
that's right, I'm sorry. Does any member of the commission have any questions or comments for the applicant? No? Oh.
What is the need for all those stalls?
That's not theirs, that's the building.
Oh, that's the building.
Yes.
Yeah, so that building, it's a 40,000 square foot building, and it's been divided into 4 units. So that those 93 parking stalls are for all 4 units.
That's what we talked about the last meeting, because
okay.
based on square footage, you have to have X amount of stalls for that square
Understood,
footage.
okay.
Hasn't, that's why I asked, there's only 10 in a building there, now it has 93, it's a waste of space. So, yeah, hopefully. Is the applicant here?
Yes, they're here.
Oh, good luck, sir, welcome to the city, and we hope you have a very prosperous business. Thank you. We'll now open up public comments for this item. Planning Commission Secretary, did we receive any speaking cards or written comments for this item?
We did not.
Okay. So just go to, if there's no objection by members of the commission, I will close the public comments for public hearing, item number 5. If there's no further commission questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing at 6:15 PM. May I have a motion to approve CUP case number 856 and adopt resolution number 304-2025, which incorporates Planning Commission findings and actions regarding this matter. May I have a first?
I'll move.
A second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Planning Commission Secretary, please conduct a roll vote.
Commissioner Flores?
Aye.
Commissioner Cervantes?
Aye.
Commissioner Ayala?
Aye.
Vice Chair Jimenez?
Aye.
Chair Sarna?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
So ordered. There's a 14-day appeal period for anyone wishing to appeal this matter. Congratulations, sir. Item number 6 on the agenda, I will open up public hearings at 6:15 PM. I now call upon Associate Planner Alejandro de Lora to introduce this item. Sorry I messed you up, brother.
You had it close. Good evening, Commissioners. I will be presenting on public hearing item number 6 for conditional use permit case number 858. And this is to establish, operate, and maintain a dog daycare and boarding facility at 12325 Florence Avenue, and to adopt a notice of exemption under CEQA section 15301, class 1, with existing facilities. So the proposed project is at 12325 Florence, which is pictured up here. And the land use designation is industrial with a zoning of M2 for heavy manufacturing. And the applicant here is going to be Zumiez Doggy Daycare and Boarding. So again, this request is to establish, operate, and maintain a dog daycare and boarding facility. And there are currently no entitlements at this site. So Zumiez is a family-owned dog daycare and boarding facility that began in 2022 as a home-based operation. So they are looking forward to expanding into a commercial site. This building is 5,511 square feet, and it is based on a 12,000 square foot lot. The plan is to begin initially only with the daycare operations, and that would be with 1 full-time staff member and 2 part-time staff members to be able to board between 30 and 40 dogs at a time. There is operational expansion plans, though, so they do intend to grow within this space to have up to 5 employees and 60 dogs at their peak operation. The hours of operation will initially be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for the daycare portion, with the plans to eventually expand into the overnight boarding in the future, which is part of this request. Some of the main concerns that would come up with a facility like this would be odor and waste management. So to the first point, it is going to be a fully indoors operation, so there's not going to be like an outdoor dog run or anything like that. It would be fully indoors for the kennel and for the play areas. They do plan on installing additional floor drains in the site, and that would mostly be for liquid waste, so if there's urination or anything, they do plan on having like a power washing station that they can kind of pull from, hose it down, and use that with, of course, dog-safe disinfectants to be able to maintain that space clean and orderly. As for the solid waste, they do plan on having that be bagged individually for each of the emissions, I guess you could say, and have that placed into a sealed container before they take that out into the trash. The second concern that would come up with something like this is typically noise. The good thing about this site is that it is located in the M2 zone, and it is over 1,000 feet from the nearest residential properties, so there is a good buffer there. The M2 zone also is pretty typical, right, with our more truck traffic and heavy machinery and stuff like that. So this noise wouldn't be exceptionally out of the ordinary from anything there. The applicant also does propose, again, to have this be fully indoors, so that will help with that mitigation as well. And they do plan on installing acoustic dampeners. So that would be kind of like wall panels, ceiling mounted like sound absorption. So a couple things there, also for the comfort of them and their employees, because dogs barking could cause a lot of echo, right? So they are hoping to be able to mitigate that sound for themselves as well. And of course, they are planning to train their staff to help prevent excessive barking and to be able to specifically address if there is a dog that is excessively barking. And again, this is going to have like a play area as well. So the intention there being that these dogs are not going to be boarded up all day, right? They are going to have space to roam and be able to exert and exhaust their energy there. So for the parking, unfortunately, our code does not specifically establish any kind of parking requirements for doggy daycare facilities. So with that, the zoning code does allow for the director of community development to make a determination that shall be guided as much as possible by comparison with similar uses which are listed. And kind of looking at the nature of the operations with the short-term pickup and drop-off and limited customer type of demand there, we did see that this was closest to like a residential care facility. And the requirement for a residential care facility is to have 1 parking space per staff person, and in addition to have 1 guest parking space for every 10 beds. So in this case, beds kind of being the equivalent of a kennel. So the way that kind of breaks down is listed up here in this chart. So again, they do plan on having a peak staffing of 5 staff members at a time. So that would require 5 parking spaces with this calculation. And with the peak boarding of 60 kennels, with 1 per kennel, or 1 per 10 kennels required, that'd be an additional 6. So in total, under this calculation, it would be 11 required parking spaces, and they're currently providing 12, and that does include 1 existing accessible stall. As for CEQA, the project we propose to be exempt from CEQA under Section 15301, and that's under the Class 1 existing facilities. That is because this is going to be proposed within a fully existing building, and there's not going to be any additional square footage proposed as part of this. So it would be fully within the existing building. As for the public hearing notice, we did send this out to all property owners within 500 feet of the site, as well as posted at the Santa Fe Springs City Hall, City Library, and Town Center kiosk on October 30th. And it was published in the Los Cerritos community newspaper on October 31st. And to date, staff has not received any comments regarding the project. So finally, wrapping things up here with some key considerations. Again, this operation would be fully indoors, so that would minimize the potential noise and odor concerns. Additionally, the applicant's gonna have additional mitigations, which include those acoustic dampeners to further minimize the sound, and also have a trained staff that would be able to appropriately address things like excessive barking. Next, they would have a minimal parking required, again, because of that pickup and sort of drop-off based nature. We're not really expecting people to linger there. We're also not expecting the dogs to dry themselves. So that would also help with the minimal parking required. And of course, the site suitability, again, this is located in the M2 zone, so our heavy manufacturing, and is at least 1,000 feet away from the nearest residential properties. So with that, staff does recommend to approve and adopt the proposed environmental document, which is the notice of exemption under CEQA guidelines section 15301 with the existing facilities, to approve CUP case number 858, subject to the conditions as stated within the resolution, and to adopt resolution number 305-2025, which incorporates the Planning Commission's findings and actions regarding this item. Thank you. And the applicant is also here in case you have any additional questions for them.
Thank you. We will now move to commissioners' questions and comments. Does any member of the commission have any questions or comments for staff? Good.
I have yes. How many parking spaces are available at this site currently?
So it's a single property, and it has, functionally it's within the plaza, but it's 1 parcel, and it has 12 spaces.
12 spaces.
Correct.
And then they'll have up to 5 staff?
Correct. Yeah. So that additional parking will be mostly for people that are coming.
How many? It's a daycare. It's a dog daycare.
Yeah.
It's just as popular as a child daycare, which means it'll be popular. What is their clientele where are they gonna park? Because they have to go in, park the car, go in, drop the dog. There's gonna be an overlap. So I see potential problem with that. They're
Yeah,
not
so there will
being
be.
provided sufficient parking spaces for drop-off and pickup.
Okay, so there will be those 6 additional spaces remaining, so 5 for the staff, and that'd be at peak. And they have established like a particular regimen with a lot of their clients as well. So they are expecting this to be like pretty quick pickup drop-off. There is some additional like circulation space available on the site for them to be able to kind of mitigate that as well. But I can also defer to them a little bit here if they want to elaborate a little bit on the overlapping of their clients' pickup and drop-off.
So just to add to, so you're saying 60 dogs, so that means 60 people are driving to drop off their dogs for 6 spaces. And that's on a main street, and I know exactly, it's the old seafood building.
Right.
Which there's no parking anywhere. Unless they use a neighboring. Well, that whole facility, yeah. So I think that's one of the questions, but go ahead, that's
That
just
was-
one of the.
That's one of the big concerns that I have, is that there isn't enough parking for the clientele, and there's going to end up being a conflict. If they are successful, which I wishing them all the best to be successful, you can't get 60 vehicles in there, even when you stagger pickup and deliveries, or drop-offs and pickups. Because time doesn't work that way on Florence Avenue during peak hours.
Right, and this is the proposed recommendation for the parking. Like I mentioned, there's not a specific requirement in the code. So this would allow us, and there's also a condition here within the conditions of approval that's specifically to the parking and operational requirements, in acknowledgement that this would be the city's first dog daycare, and we don't know exactly what that operation will end up involving regarding the parking. So there is a condition here that says that they would work with staff to be able to rework or create a plan if there were to be any issues related to the parking.
And how quickly would that be resolved? Only because it's not fair to the business or the clients. They will lose clients if the parking becomes unavailable. So what are the conditions that we have in place that the city works quickly with them to establish additional parking?
Yeah, so the first route would be to go through code enforcement, if anything. So we do have our compliance review, which would be set from a year from today if it were to be approved. And in between that time, we would, of course, be able to reach out through code enforcement, or we could, of course, reach out to them directly, pointing back to this condition. The extreme case there, or the authority over that, would be that we could revoke if we found that that was something that extended beyond, like, or was violating the CUP fully. But of course, the first route would try to be to find an operational solution before we go to that level.
Joe?
I have a question for the planner.
Okay, do you have anything?
I think you're right about that, because most people get out of work around the same time, maybe if they're gonna go pick up their dog. So the pickup and drop off, maybe in the middle somewhere, there's not gonna be nothing going on, but early in the morning and late in the afternoon,
And-
that's when the
and-
most traffic is.
By, you're using the word revoke. It's not the fault of the client. It sounds like it's the fault of the client that they're gonna have too many they're gonna have too many clients. I'm trying to put the ownership of this issue on the city. Public safety. Not so much public safety, because public safety will go out there and cite them.
A concern that it might be a traffic concern, people
concerned-
ingress,
yeah,
egress.
yes, and
So
then
it could be
the
a
client-
public safety in the sense of traffic control.
The client will be the
Or
one that
code.
will be violating that code, but it's not their problem. It's not their fault because they weren't provided sufficient. The city needs to include potential large amount of clients. Like, we have that one building that has 96 parking stalls
Well,
for
like-
15 people. He doesn't need it. They'll need minimum, any given time, 40 parking stalls. Because they could end up with 20 coming in, 20 coming out at the same time. It's not a case of if you do anything with a daycare, be it a child or be it doggy, they have to park their cars, walk in, get their dog, walk out, put the dog in the car, then get out. That's not a drive-through. That's a park.
Can you put the building up on the, can you ask them? Put the picture of the building? So the front is their only parking?
Yeah.
And that's that's only one car in, one car out?
So there's the rear area as well where the arrow's pointing. That's also a parking area. So something to note about this site. So everything from the large building that's going to be on the left side of your screen to the far right side of the screen, there is an access agreement for those properties. So there's no.
How many parking stalls are in the back?
It would be there's a total of 12, so I would believe.
6 in the
there's
back and
6,
six-
yeah, 6 or 7 in the
so-
back.
Up to 5 in the back for employee parking. So there's 1 in the back and then the rest are on the front.
Correct. Yeah, so kind of elaborating a little bit, there is an access agreement within the plaza. So again, kind of speaking to the possibilities of operational changes or sort of finding plans with the applicant here, we could find a solution there where we are able to allow additional like on-site queuing with the permission of other property owners within that plaza area so that they could maintain that sort of access closer to something like a drive-through. so that we can make sure that circulation is within the site and not overflowing onto Florence.
So I have two other questions. The businesses that's behind it, what do they do? The one that's adjacent to the property,
Yeah, they do like printing and dyeing
okay?
operations.
And then what about, and the other one's vacant also still, or the other seafood place is vacant now? So is it still vacant?
Yeah, the one adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the one that's in front of it, like the one that they look like they're the same. So that one's vacant, right?
The one that's mirroring it, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the one that's mirroring it is, that one is the Thai printing one.
Okay, what's right next to it? The one that's the same building?
Okay, sorry, okay, sorry, I misinterpreted. So the one that's directly like tied, like.
Yeah, that
like
share a
facing
common
it,
wall.
That one is the Thai printing one.
Okay, and
The
what's the
other
one that's
one-
mirroring it, next to it?
That one, I believe that one is vacant.
Okay. So the one thing I have, and I know they talked about putting paneling up, but how much does that paneling work? So my thought is, we look at it, we're 1,000 feet away from the residents, but if you're performing a business right behind it and you hear dogs barking consistently, that might create a problem. I don't know how much it helps or it doesn't help. I don't know, but I think that is something that we have to look at. And then the second thing is, how do they, when they pressure wash, are they connecting to their own filtration system, or are they connecting directly to the sewer? Because you can't just they're gonna put chemicals and all the other stuff down the drains, washing poop and stuff like that. So how is that working out?
Yeah, so for the first part with the noise, so it is the same ownership for the buildings that are like fronting one another. And there is an existing relationship, if you guys can clarify, between the applicant and the direct user next to the site as well, right? Yeah. Yeah, do you want to?
Yeah, that's fine, if she wants, that's fine.
Do we want to close out questions for
You want
staff and then?
close-
Okay, I can address the second part too then. That was
The drain.
the drain, yes. So, yeah, those do require a permit through our Public Works Department and the Fire Department. So there's a condition of approval there too. Yeah, so they would be required to go through our permitting process to make sure that they connect to the appropriate sewer pipes and any other mitigation that'd be required there.
Okay. So, does any member of the commission have any questions or comments for the applicant? Yes. Yes, so can you please?
Hello, Christina Marquez here for Zoomies Doggy Daycare. I'm here with my partner, Christopher Pinkernell.
Nice.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I can address some of the concerns. I think in terms of the amount of dogs being at peak capacity, the 60 dog amount. So that's with all kennels, you know, fully booked and daycare. So the daycare is where dogs are moving in and out. We have provided hours where individuals are supposed to pick up dogs for boarding in order to sort of stagger pickups and drop-offs. And so we're hoping that that's going to alleviate some of the parking concerns. You know, we do deal with individuals dropping off their dogs in the morning at our house, and, you know, we take them in, and we kind of can schedule or at least know when individuals are going to be dropping off their dogs. So we've sort of worked that into the plan in our operation in order to ensure that there isn't any sort of parking issues. And I think, you know, of course, we can try to plan a little bit better if that is a major concern of the city. And then in terms of the sound dampening, so we do intend on installing the acoustic ceiling panels and then acoustics on the wall, which from what we've read can reduce sound by about 35%. But also another point is that dogs should not be excessively barking at a doggy daycare. That signals excessive stress from the dogs. We plan on hiring Pack Pro Training, which is like a certified training company, to come in and train all of our staff to ensure that they're mitigating any issues when it comes to excessive barking, because we don't want to see dogs excessively barking. We don't want dogs stressed. they should be playing, and they should be calm, and there should be certain periods of rest. Additionally, we're going to be working a time in the middle of the day to allow for nap time, because dogs, again, they do need a break. So that's also going to be a way in which we can mitigate any sound issues. And then, of course, we're open for any other questions.
How many dogs do you tend to board at any given time
In our current operations,
in this
or
future
in our projected
year projected?
Yes, so we are looking to install about 38 kennels, and then the remaining amount of capacity would be for daycare.
Okay. And what kind of safety do you have for them at night? Do you have staff on site? Is it 24/7 monitoring? Being a
Well,
dog
they're
parent?
not doing overnight,
No, boarding is overnight.
but you guys are not starting off boarding, right, overnight? Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, so they're planning to have overnight, but to start, initially they will not be.
So there's,
Will they come back when it becomes overnight? Or is this only day right now? What we're looking at is day only?
so how do we vote on something that you said it's not starting off overnight and then now it is?
Yeah, that's better.
You see, and this is where I come back to the issue. If you're doing overnight and then you get your 60, and you have so many kenneled, okay, so many being boarded, you don't have the parents picking them up. However, you're going to have a traffic mitigation issue. That I do see. And it's not on you, it's the fact that the location needs more parking. But now going to the boarding, being a dog mom, my concern is, what are the safeties for the dogs?
We'll be contracting with Gator Kennels. They'll be the company that outfits all of the dog suites, dog kennels. They'll be fully enclosed, fully safe. They'll be ventilated, well-kept. The kennel banks themselves will be enclosed. That room will also be enclosed within the entire warehouse. There's no way for any dog to ever escape out of their kennel or their suite for that night.
And then I can add to that. So, and we will have 24-hour surveillance initially, and then we will also be installing a fire alarm system to ensure that if there's any issues that, you know, we're also 7 minutes away, so we have a quick response time as well. But we are also going to be working to get a 24-hour employee there. So we're working with the numbers in terms of how many dogs we are starting with, and then as that number grows, we will get an on-site 24-hour supervision for that, you know, for the facility.
I'm not saying this is one of the things. Would you be willing to lessen the amount of dogs for right now to find out how it all works instead of, you know, it's the same thing we do with trash or recycling centers, that we put a limit on tonnage just to make sure the truck parking and truck traffic and all those types of things. This is, you know, kind of a unorthodox place to have a dog kennel, which I love dogs, and I hope nothing but success, but we also don't want to just say yes to you guys and find out in 4 months, 5 months that you're going to have a bunch of companies or people complaining to us saying that I can't get into my business, the dogs are barking all the time, it's becoming a nuisance. And then now we're trying to unravel everything that we're doing. So I think, you know, there's some red flags there for myself, but
Yeah, so obviously you're getting a lot of this rebuttal, right, in regards to the parking and the amount of dogs. What is your response to that? What is your fix to that?
Yeah, or do you want to?
As far as the noise, you know, I really don't anticipate that much noise, especially for the surrounding businesses. It is a concrete building. All use will be indoors, so, you know, I'm not sure how much noise escapes to begin with.
yeah.
We do anticipate, you know, acoustically dampening everything that we can to please the commission, but also for our own comfort. You know, we want the place.
I think the biggest concern is more the parking space.
Okay, and then as far as the parking, so there is as you can see, that all of that parking is all open to everybody, I would assume, but I think there's 8 spots in the rear. With the 5 that are dedicated to us, and like Christina had mentioned before, with boarding, we stagger it just like a hotel. you have to check in after 2 p.m. When you pick up your dog for pickup, it has to be before 11 a.m. So things are staggered where, you know, we're not getting 60 at once and 60, you know, at one single time. The daycare, that's where I can potentially see an issue because, you know, and not everyone comes at the same time, not everyone comes has the same schedule, but there is going to be from like 7 a.m. to about 9 a.m. where there's going to be sporadic drop-offs, and we anticipated 38 boarding and max 22 daycare. So potentially at full capacity, at any given maxed out day, we would have 22 people that need to drop off in the morning.
And you guys live fairly close, right? So you guys are very familiar with the traffic flow on that street around that time in the morning, correct?
I can assume that it's busy. I can't say I'm super familiar.
Okay, so if you live in the area, you should be familiar. It is very busy.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
My biggest concern I have here is you're moving into a building. It looks like it's great for the doggy daycare part. My concern is it's not great for the parking. They're not giving you sufficient, the city isn't, or the business area doesn't provide sufficient parking for you. You've got the business that has 96 parking because you can see that they have it. That building happens to be very limited in parking. I'd hate to see you fail so soon because the parking becomes an issue in which code enforcement comes in, unwarranted on their part. I don't want the city to be cause for their failure.
Well, the city would be the cause of it.
Yeah, I don't agree that it's a city.
Yeah, that's not our, why is that our fault?
Yeah, I don't agree it's a city. I think that
We have no
it's the
bearing on it.
responsibility of the petitioner to find a location that is suitable for the type of business that they have. I don't think that falls on the city.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, like, we would be open to discussing the amount of dogs. So, you know, if we wanted to start with like a set amount of dogs that are boarding and then a set amount of dogs that are coming in for daycare. Also, it can work in terms of our own scheduling, right? If we need to sort of change the time in which dogs are dropped off for boarding to make, you know, the process stagger a bit better. So say, for instance, dogs are dropped off at 2 and picked up at 2. Between 12 and 2 is the slowest time. Nobody's dropping off dogs for daycare at that time. So that could be the time where we are staggering sort of drop-off and pickup times for, you know, for individuals that are picking up their dogs for boarding. And then, of course, you know, we can handle the situation in the morning when they're dropping off. I mean, currently we have dogs that are dropped off between 7 and 9, but we don't typically have dogs like being dropped off at the exact same time. And we always sort of get notice prior. You know, owners will text us and say, hey, I'm going to be there in 10 minutes. And we can anticipate that, prepare for that, and make sure we can run out, grab the dog, bring the dog in, and process them
60
accordingly.
seconds or less.
How, the filtration system, are they for smell? How is that working?
For additional filtration, you mean, for the smell?
Are they adding any type of filtration system for the dog smell? I mean,
Yeah, we're getting some air doctors for indoor air purification in each kennel room and multiple in each.
like I have,
Play yards are one big space, but multiple in the warehouse.
And it's HVAC'd as well, so there will be circulation. So it won't be like stagnant smell or anything.
I have 2 questions. What kind of mixed matrix do you guys have as far as like daily drop-offs, overnight daycare, and then is there long-term on your guys, you know?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that first part of the question.
So like how many, just average, what do you guys anticipate for daily drop-offs and pickups, overnight, and then maybe long-term, you know, a week, 2 weeks, dog needs to be kenneled, or do you guys have any projections for that?
Majority of our clients are
If you wouldn't mind speaking into the microphone, thank you.
weekend or a long weekend, maybe Thursday to Sunday, something like that. Obviously, holidays bookending the weekends. A lot of the boarding comes on the weekends. We do get week-long or 10-day bookings where it's, you know, a Friday to the following Sunday. And then as far as daycare, you know, I anticipate more boarding, but we could find that there's a much larger need for daycare, and, you know, we do plan to cap that at 20. How many do I anticipate? Maybe during the week, 10, 20, 15, but the weekends will probably be at full capacity, I would think.
And then my next question, was there a sentiment from the director, since it's a unique CUP, on parking concerns, solutions? Was anything brought to your presentation as far as what the director felt on parking issues?
Yeah, so that's what the initial parking recommendation is based off of the daycare facility use. But in terms of additional mitigations, if I can point you to, so we do have a condition of approval here. It's number 34. So it does say that the applicant has to maintain the minimum 11 that was established to start, but it does state here that should staff later determine that the parking demand exceeds what is currently provided, or if the applicant increases peak capacity beyond current projections, the applicant will be required to work with staff to identify an appropriate operational or site plan solution. So we did build something in there because we did acknowledge that, again, we don't have this use listed and we don't have one in the city, so there wasn't really anything to fully base it off of.
But how do we solve that solution when you can't put 100 spaces in a 5-foot box? You know what I mean? You just can't do that. So how do you prepare, like, if it becomes, let's say they get the 60, which is great for the business, but there's not parking sufficient for them. How do you say we solve that problem? We can't, because there's no space there to solve it.
So, if I may.
You'd have to shuttle them in.
You can
Meet at the park?
You
Meet
no,
at
you can
Little
rent. You can rent from his 75 spaces. Come on.
You'd have to shuttle them
Look at
in.
these. Oh yeah, I get out there.
Meet at Little Lake Park for 2 hours, from 7 to 9, have a thing, shuttle them in, boom. And that's how you do it.
So all of your questions are very good. They're very valid. As with most conditional use permits, we typically try to address as many concerns as we can possibly think of, especially with a use that is brand new to the city. The extent of consideration goes so far, and then the thought is let them operate. Conditions like these are in place so that we can evaluate and address them as needed, and they're open-ended so that we can address them based on that specific concern.
How far are you guys along right now with the building, with the kennels and all that stuff? Nothing?
We're waiting for you guys' green light before we.
So, I mean, I think we all have the same concerns, and I always like to see new businesses strive in our city, and we can, lead by example. I do have some recommendations if you guys want to hear it. I think we should go down to 20 kennels for right now with the 65, but start with a 20 kennel, and then bring it back in 6 months after they open, and then see how it's going, to make sure there's no parking problems, there's no noise complaints, there's no smells, and then go down that road. I mean, it's a gamble, but I think the business is a great structure. I think where you guys are putting it is not in the great space, but I think it's a good business. I want to see it succeed, but I know what will happen once, they'll start complaining, people will start doing this and that, and I don't want to see you guys just throw good money after bad, so.
I have a question. How many clients do you currently have? That would be a good basis to start with. What's your clientele right now?
This is always kind of a tough question. We might have, one client who brings their dog because they go on vacation twice a year. I might not see that dog all year except for those 2 vacations. We have other memberships that come for daycare that come 5 times a week, 3 times a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, so it's really kind of hard. I would say maybe 100.
Okay, so how many daycare? Strictly, not the kennel, just the daycare. What's your current
We have
clientele?
8 current members.
8 current members. Okay, so we do have potential for growth there.
Well, I think you're basing the 60 off of what you need to make, basically to pay rent, everything.
Yeah, that number
that's-
is a very specific number, but again, we're talking 2 different line items in my brain. One is boarding and one is daycare. One I do have to intake and give, hand back off. The others are staying for a while, they're getting fed, it's a different process. So, you know, if I could have, you know, I anticipated at max capacity 38 boarding, 20 daycare for a max of 60 at any one time at the facility. I never wanted to exceed that number, always maintaining a one person to 10 dog ratio. Now, as far as like, you know, the pickup and drop off, I have some, you know, maybe suggestions to continue stagger, but you know, these pickup and drop offs, they're very fast. These people are not lingering or staying around. Certainly not the members. It's a very quick.
But if you have 10 people dropping it off at the same time, then what?
So let's say it was 10 at the same time and I had 5 staff members. We could be running out, exchanging, and you're in your parking spot for no longer than 60 seconds.
But in that spot, there's no place to park and turn around. There's no, you're only one way in, and you have to go into your 2 front spots, or you go all the way to the back.
4 front spots. On
Or
either
4
side.
front spots, but
It's 4 and 4.
4 of them are for the business. If right now, you utilize it, but until that person gets their business, then it's what's called.
And then in the rear, there's the entire rear bar is all parking,
But that's not specific for you.
just the portion behind it.
Yes. So,
Can I add something?
yeah.
So in terms of the limits to the kennels, so I think, you know, where the business is very profitable is going to be the boarding.
Yeah.
So I think the daycare is where there is going to be the concern about the parking because people are dropping off at peak, you know, hours. Versus boarding, we have it staggered, and people typically comply with our, you know, drop off and check-in requirements. So I think ultimately, if the commission is inclined to limit anything, I would say, you know, maybe a certain amount for daycare, and then allowing us to obviously grow more so with boarding, and maybe limit it down to like say 30 boarding, if the, you know, if the commission is inclined to limit the amount of dogs.
Okay.
The boarding wouldn't be the issue in terms of limiting. The boarding is not an issue for it's the daycare. So I would keep a higher threshold for the boarding and a lower right now for the daycare. And then they can come back to us and say that they need to expand their daycare and bring up that issue.
Well, it's temporary for 1 year, right?
So standard, how we do most CUPs is 1 year. There's nothing specifically that says that it has to be that year. So if something like a sooner compliance review so that we can bring it back to the commission, get you some numbers, get you some information is something that would kind of help with this. I do think that's something that we could modify within the conditions.
Well, would you like to see it come back in a year after they're up and running to see what it brings? To give them a shot.
Yeah, in the spirit of being business-friendly community,
Yeah.
like, you know.
We want to make it work for you. We
Yeah.
we have to be very careful of what we do. So, you know, so I think that if we allow them to function and just know that we're very skeptical on doing this, but we want to see you succeed. But you have to be mindful of the problems that will come, and if our code enforcement and our staff have to continuously come out and see it, it's not going to be a great thing. Okay? Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, but what number are we looking at as far as boarding and daycare? Would it be like a 2020, right? Or
I would just keep it what it is right now.
Okay.
Just keep
We
it
just
what
keep
it
it
is,
what it
and then let them see what comes out of it.
Okay.
So we hope that you can succeed in this. Okay, planning, could I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll move. Wait.
Chair, before you do, can you just close the public hearing, please?
Oh, yeah.
If there are no further
Oh, yeah, I got it.
commissioner.
If there are no further commission questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing at 6:54. Actions, no commission findings and actions regarding this matter. May I have a first and a second?
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Planning Commission Secretary, please conduct the roll vote.
Commissioner Flores,
Aye.
Commissioner Cervantes,
Aye.
Commissioner Ayala,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jimenez,
Aye?
Chair Sarno,
Aye,
passes 5-0.
so ordered. There's a 14-day appeal period for anyone wishing to appeal this matter.
Madam Secretary, briefly, was there any public comment received on that item?
Sorry about that, there was none.
No, for none, okay.
No, he said there was.
No, for the, thank you.
Good luck.
Yes.
All right, next, item number 7 on the agenda. I will open public hearing at 6:55 PM. I now call upon Assistant Planner Cynthia Alvarez to introduce this item.
Hi again. So I'll be presenting DPA case 1015 to construct one 37-foot, 5-inch tall carbon steel tank for the storage of nitrogen and 2 new 18-foot with 15 inches tall aluminum ambient vaporizers. We are also seeking a modification permit case 1371 to allow partial screening of the proposed tanks at 11845 Brick Street and adopt a notice of exemption under section 15303, class 3, new construction or conversion of small structures of the CEQA. So this proposal is at 11845 Brook Street. The zoning is heavy manufacturing. The general plan land use is industrial designation. And currently it is non-operative. The applicant is Michael Georgi on behalf of Body Coat Thermal Processing. And so the request is to construct one new 37-foot tall and with 5 inches carbon steel tank for the storage of nitrogen and 2 new 18-foot and 5-inch tall aluminum ambient vaporizers, and modification case 1371 to partially screen the proposed metal tanks and vaporizer. So some background, Bodycoat is known as a heat treatment service with a global presence, known for metal products for the automotive, aerospace, and defense industries. After being in Santa Fe Springs for over 44 years, Bodycoat is seeking to reestablish their 11845 Brick Street location with a new type of heat treatment process known as nitriding. The site currently does not have any previous entitlements. So as mentioned, this site would now use a new process known as nitriding. It's a method for surface hardening through a controlled thermochemical process that extends the durability of the metal. Nitrogen itself is non-flammable, odorless, and non-toxic, and is best stored outdoors to prevent any asphyxiation risk. Safety measures focus on preventing direct contact and maintaining proper pressure control. The ambient vaporizer is being proposed as well, which takes the liquid nitrogen from the tank and will vaporize it in its gas form for the nitriding process. And the height and size was selected to meet a week's worth of production to limit refills required. So as mentioned, for DPA case 1015, it is specifically for the 37-foot with 5-inch tall carbon steel tank for the storage of the liquid nitrogen and 2 18-foot with 5 inches ambient vaporizers. The tank and the ambient vaporizers would be placed approximately 165 feet from Brook Street, 450 feet from Slauson Avenue, as well as from Dice Road. And the specific location of the tanks was selected to remain compliant with existing fire access requirements, to preserve all required parking, to reduce the visual impact from Brick Street, and for the optimization of the optimized proximity for the operations from the existing building. So this is the site plan. As you can see, the existing building is directly behind the tanks. And so there is an alleyway from the back property line. And so this is approximately 50 feet from the tanks. And the front of Brook Street would be 165 feet. And so modification case 1371 is being proposed to partially screen the proposed metal tank and ambient vaporizers. Due to the height and location of the tanks, complete screening wasn't feasible. However, the ambient vaporizers are completely screened by the building, since the building is 23 feet tall. And there is some existing landscaping along Burke that alleviates some of that visual impact. The tanks will also be painted white to match with the building and also just provide that neutral tone. So as you can see from these photo sims, the tank would be seen, the nitrogen tank would be seen from Burke Street, as well as that aerial. As mentioned, the ambient vaporizers are significantly shorter, so the more visual impact would be from the nitrogen tank. This is the view. Sorry, I forgot to label it. This is the view from Slauson Avenue, that first image, and it's an aerial. And the second image is a view from Dice Road, which again, you will be able to see the nitrogen tank. And so this project is exempt from CEQA under Section 15303, Class 3, new construction or conversion of small structures. There's no addition to the building. These tanks are being placed outdoors, and the heat treatment facility use is permitted by right under or in the heavy manufacturing zone. And the public hearing notice was sent out, was posted in City Hall, Town Center Kiosk, and the library, as well as mailed to property owners within 500 feet on October 30th, and it was published in the Los Cerritos Community Newspaper October 31st. To date, staff did receive 2 inquiries regarding the subject, DPA and MOD. Both inquiries did not suggest an opposition towards the proposed entitlements. So some key considerations are the site suitability. So this heavy manufacturing zone is designated for heavy industrial uses. So the placement of the tanks would be in line with the industrial use and not negatively impacting the surrounding properties. Also, the functional design, the tanks were strategically placed to minimize visual impact and also maintain the parking requirements. Safety design was also considered in this project. The applicant worked with our fire department to ensure compliance and minimize any safety risks. Some screening considerations that were taken, like I said, were the neutral white finish to help integrate the tanks with the industrial setting and blend it in with the building. And with that, staff recommends to find and determine that the project is categorically exempt for Section 15303, Class 3, new construction or conversion of small structures of the CEQA guidelines. Approve DPA case number 1015 and mod 1371, subject to the conditions as stated in the attached resolution. And adopt resolution number 306, 2025, which incorporates the Planning Commission's findings and actions regarding this matter. That concludes my presentation, and the applicant is also here for any questions.
Thank you. We'll now move to commissioner questions, comments. Does any member of the commission have any questions for staff? No? We'll now open public comments for this item. Planning Commission Secretary, do we receive any speaking
Chair
cards?
Sarno, did you
Oh,
want?
the applicant. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
No.
No? None? We'll now open up public comments for this item. Planning Commission Secretary, did we receive any speaking cards or written comments for this item?
We did not.
Okay.
Here's what I found.
What'd you find?
No, no comments.
If there are no further commission questions or comments, I will now close the public hearing. 7:03. May I have a motion to approve DPA case number 1015 and mod case number 1371 and adopt resolution number 306-2025, which incorporates the Planning Commission's findings and actions regarding this matter.
One motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Planning Commission Secretary, please conduct a roll vote.
Commissioner Flores,
Aye.
Commissioner Cervantes,
Aye.
Commissioner Ayala,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jimenez,
Aye.
Chair Sarna?
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
So ordered. There's a 14-day appeal period for anyone wishing to appeal this matter. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Staff communications on items, community interest. Does staff have any announcements?
Yes, Chair. In front of you is an invitation for tomorrow's Veterans Day ceremony.
I didn't get one. Oh, I got it.
Should
right
be
here.
behind the script.
I'm not invited.
That's all we have. Thank you.
That's it? Commissioners, AB 1234, council conference reporting. Does any commissioners have something to report on? Nothing? I just have a comment to see if, I know it's not on the agenda right now, but for maybe the next commission meeting, could we find out how the balloon track is going on? We have the balloon track off of the freeway that they were given a CUP for truck parking, and they have a lot of trailer parking and stuff like that. So we just want to make sure that they're complying with the CUP that the planning commission gave them. So maybe on the next.
Yes,
just give us
Chair.
an update.
We'll give you an update in December.
Thank you very much. This meeting is now adjourned at 7:05 PM. The next meeting, planning commission, is set for December 8th, 2025 at 6 PM. See you there.